most bizarre. Maybe like bizarre crimes that happen. We'll see, we'll see. But maybe like 2 hours of ASMR and then going back to whatever reacts I can find. So yeah, it's been a while since I've done ASMR. I usually have like this. Oh, let me turn this down. Have a little quiet voice. And excuse me. There's, I don't know, like, I don't know, this is kind of hard. It's kind of hard for me to figure out what to do. And then, wish I can go with the flow a little bit, but, I don't have like those ASMR mics because I don't even do this very often. So like, why would I buy something so expensive? Just Martin Novi, thank you for the follow. I appreciate it. Big stretch. Ooh. Uh, Thank you for that. Anyways, so we got our new goals for both YouTube and for Twitch. I mean, Twitch hasn't changed, but I mean, I can't. I don't know. I'm a little interested in the whole Nikkei stuff because now they're being sponsored by like a baseball team, and I'm like, maybe, we'll see. If I do play the game, it will be on an emulator for the PC. It is legal to do that. I'm not doing it illegally, but and if I like it a lot, then I might put it on my mobile as well, like connect it to my mobile accounts. I haven't watched a whole lot of Daily Dose recently. I don't know. I just kind of like had enough.
These are the buzz videos of 2020.
Like he doesn't even post them daily. It's just like every few days or something like that. And sometimes I'm just like, oh, I've seen that before, and they're just reposting it or something like that, like a little clip of it. Daily dose of gaming is this. Interesting. We'll see. Let me check something real quick on some social sites. Oh yeah, today is my mod's birthday. Thunder Cookies. I forgot it was the 12th today. But yeah. Thunder Cookie has been a very long time mod here, and I appreciate him with all the stuff that he does. I know he doesn't come here very often because he's EU gain, and for him, EU gain is like very late in the evenings. So, I mean, it is what it is. Oh goodness, I gotta crack my deck. What the? Okay. I just saw something very weird. It's like mobile app, kind of weird, but I don't want to talk about it. I don't want to talk about it. Okay. Interesting. Okay. What a meme. What a meme instead. Zen was so meme. So I restarted my PC because I kind of knew something was a little off with the stuff for with OBS like being out acting weird, so I hopefully I fixed it. Hopefully I did. Okay, I don't want to get into that drama. Oh, sorry about that. My dog. Iggy. 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 Oh, he's not here anymore. Let's see. Sorry, I was looking at something and I don't know, just something about it didn't make any sense to me. So. What is this about? Hold on. Seems like people just don't learn. Oh, just some drama and stuff like that. It doesn't matter. I'm not going to explain the whole drama because, well, it is what it is, right? And I'm not a drama YouTuber or whatever, so a drama streamer. Is that what he looks like? I never knew that. Okay, moving on. I really shouldn't be doing this while going on stream, but I'm just here for the fun part of it. Toblas, hello, welcome on in. Hello, hello. I think that's how you say it, I don't know. Would you guys like to do some reacts? Like daily dose stuff? Because right now, I'm not good with this ASMR. I don't really have like a goal in particular. Like a theme, or I don't know. Let's do that. There we go. Put this over here. Oh, I'm too small. Oh, hold on. go back to just chatting. Sorry guys, I'm a little bored. I'm a little bored with like doing, I don't know, whatever stuff that I just don't really know what to do exactly. Let me get
These
something.
are the best videos.
No, not right now. Okay, let me do that, and then let's do this. There we go.
Hello everyone, this is your daily dose of internet. He wanted to have some fun with his pet lizard that was shedding its skin.
Ooh. I think this is how they can help animals that are trying to shed. I think that's what I heard before. Okay. Oh, bruh.
So, does anyone know how this magic trick works?
I think I know, but I won't spoil it.
This dog managed to sneak out of this truck, but struggled to get back in.
That poor doggy. Oh my god.
Vas-y mon gâté.
Oh
wow. Oh wow. Mais oh.
Here's a good example of what practical effects look like when making a movie.
And can you push in?
It's two people in there.
He was teaching his mom
What?
how to box in virtual reality.
Okay, this is kind of creepy.
Maybe turn around.
Ábrete.
And that's why you should not slam dunk. Damn, that cat just wanted to get on a ride. Whee!
Come on, Rodney.
They managed to get this tree to perfectly fall into this tree stump. She managed to teach her cat how to clap.
That's how a professional does it. Oh, look at the little kitty. The little kitty.
This poor bear
My
got
dog
stuck
does
with
that
toilet
too.
paper stuck on his butt.
Excuse me, Mr. Bear. Got a little something there.
Buenos días.
A few days ago,
Okay.
this weird comet thing was spotted flying over Los Angeles.
That's crazy.
Ooh,
What is that?
pretty.
We're in Los Angeles. Anyone know what this is?
Men will really watch
comet.
this video and say heck yeah.
Yo, that's sick. Yo! That's crazy. You're screwed. That's... Yikes. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Well. That
This
didn't
guy
last
found
long.
a wild owl that loves to be pet.
Oh, look at the cute owl. Oh, so cute. Oh my god. What the? Okay.
Watch the pink one.
Okay.
Ready? Watch it. What? Oh, it's blue.
Oh my god, bro. Oh my god, she's Spider-Man. That is some arm strength right there.
She wanted her friend to record her dancing.
And your phone's gone. Bye-bye. Huh?
She confessed everything at her graduation.
I googled everything. I can't go through college. I googled everything.
Relatable. It's flying. It's flying. Be free. Just let the turtle in.
Hello?
It says a turtle. Just say hi. Okay. What the hell?
This is what it looks like when planes have too much fuel and need to dump it to arrive at a safe landing weight.
Delta.
So
Delta
I've watched this video
Airlines.
like 17 times and I can't figure out where this other woman came from. This little puppy was terrified of these.
Wait, hold on.
So I've watched this video like 17 times and I can't figure out where this other woman came from. This little puppy was terrified of these cows.
I think she was like right behind the woman.
Oh.
She was like directly behind her.
17 times and I can't figure out where this other woman came from.
I think it might be an editing thing.
The cows.
My dog does that too.
My god.
Well, he doesn't do that for cows, but he likes to hug my leg.
He chased after these fish that were under the ice. This dog saw this cat do the trick and got jealous and wanted to join in.
Oh, whoa. Oh my god.
Dog.
This piece of art creates a crazy optical illusion.
That's crazy.
That is the end of this video. Hopefully have a wonderful day, and I will see you guys again very, very soon. Later.
Bye. Anyways,
These are the
let's go and see. What the heck
Hello
is
everyone, this is your daily dose of internet.
this? Okay, hi. Oh my god. Turn that thing off or something. Okay. Oh, bro. Wait, hold on. What happened here?
There's a trend where people see if they're
Bruh. Why is he doing tricks
There's a
and
trend
stuff
where
on
people see if their
oncoming
dogs would
traffic?
save them if they were to suddenly get attacked.
He kind of knows it wasn't even real. The dog knew it wasn't real. It's like, yeah, you guys are just there. I'm eating. Besides, they're tickling. So, like, what?
I think she might have signed
Alrighty.
up for the wrong sport. Someone
has to
peel
teach
at
that
this
girl
gorilla,
that's not
and
a
the gorilla
compliment.
used sign language to explain that they are not allowed to eat food from strangers. This underground water pipe randomly exploded.
Oh. Okay.
Who else baby rise up like the Undertaker?
Those cars are going to smell like shit.
Why you look at me like
Dog, my ceiling just came in.
These YouTubers pulled off the highest basketball
Yeah.
shot in the world.
On the Seattle Tower? That was perfect, dude. No wonder.
He really started praying in baby language.
Amen. Oh, I used to do that as a kid.
He gave him some ketchup, but told him it was hand sanitizer.
아, 지랄.
So this is pretty dumb.
Okay.
This driver caught this other driver that was trying to tow a car with a chain.
Why?
what are you doing, stupid?
Yeah, why? Wee woo, wee woo, wee woo, wee woo. Yep. That's also my dog too.
Sometimes it's a good idea to
Okay.
use your brain before you chop down a tree.
Uh-oh. 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 Yeah, shouldn't have done that direction. Nope. Well, that just happened.
I love it. I love this so much.
Oh yeah, it's going like so fast. Horse ate Mike.
I can't believe tumbleweeds are a real thing.
I mean, yeah. But I haven't seen that huge of tumbleweeds. What the hell? Why is the dog in a garbage bag? What?
Are all 7 of you in there? I only see 6. Oh, there's 7. Hi.
It was just playing hide and seek. Yo! And it
If
scored!
you drop an orange on the ground enough times, it'll turn into a squishy ball.
Huh? That doesn't
So I
look
guess
edible.
dogs like to chase laser pointers too.
Yo, that's sick.
Ta-da!
Took the chopper. Ginobili. Ginobili. My bad.
You gonna video me, I'ma video you.
For some weird reason, cats
Okay.
will react like this when they hear the sound of tape.
That dog knows. You just killed a person.
I can easily
Wait, hold on. What just happened there? Oh. Damn. Blew it out.
easily see why this type of lizard is called a sandfish. I guess it's time for him to get a new
Okay.
fish tank now.
How? What?
Are you ready?
This
No,
bird
I'm
thought that
sleeping.
her hair would be perfect material to make a nest with. I have no idea how he was able to fit inside of this tube.
What? I don't think he's in that too. There ain't no way. Or maybe it just looks small.
Why did nobody
that
tell me that
angle.
woodpeckers were really, really big?
You guys, there's a giant woodpecker right there.
That's one giant one.
Look at how big it is. It's a woodpecker.
That's what?
He just really wanted some ice
Okay.
cream.
Two, one.
Damn!
Yo, I'm really sorry, okay?
Wicked!
What's wrong with you? Why are you blue?
She was trying to jump over the garage laser sensor.
That's crazy. Bro! That's why you have to
That is the
time
end of
it.
this video. Hopefully this video was the best video you saw today. And I'll see you guys again very
That's why you have to time it. Right as you
These
click
are
the
best
button.
videos.
What is this gaming?
Hello everyone, this is
10 canceled games that were stolen from us.
Hello everyone, this is your Daily Dose of Gaming. Some games never got the chance they deserved. These were the games that had promise, hype, and in some cases were even near completion, but instead of being released, they were cancelled, buried, and forgotten. Today we're looking at 10 cancelled games that were stolen from us. Star Wars 1313 was shaping up to be one of the most mature entries in the Star Wars franchise. Announced in 2012, the game followed a young Boba Fett navigating the criminal underworld of Coruscant. Unlike other Star Wars titles, this one leaned into gritty, Uncharted-style action with cinematic visuals and a darker tone. It was being developed by LucasArts and had a strong buzz behind it. But everything changed when Disney acquired Lucasfilm. The project was quietly shelved in 2013, and all we have left are some jaw-dropping concept videos and a feeling of a great disturbance in the Force after we were robbed of playing this game.
Was that really necessary? No.
Silent Hills was shaping up to be one of the biggest horror games ever. After the release of PT, the terrifying playable teaser, fans were hyped beyond belief. Directed by Hideo Kojima, with involvement from Guillermo del Toro, and starring Norman Reedus, it looked like the dream game of any psychological horror fan. But in 2015, after Kojima's very public fallout with Konami, the project was scrapped. PT was removed from the PlayStation Store and became something of a legend, with people trying to sell their PS4s for record prices because they still had the game on it. Silent Hills could have gone on to be one of the very best horror games, but instead it became its very own nightmare, never to be seen again.
That's so sad.
Rockstar's cult classic Bully was about schoolyard mischief and open-world exploration. For years, fans have been calling out for a sequel. In fact, multiple reports have confirmed that work began on the sequel, with the idea being a new open-world location and storyline following the protagonist Jimmy at his stepfather's home. The game was going to expand upon the original's mechanics, introducing a much bigger open world than the original and more intricate morality systems. But each time the project progressed, Rockstar pivoted staff towards bigger projects like Max Payne 3 and Red Dead Redemption, and by 2017, Rockstar had officially canceled Bully 2 to move on to the development of GTA 6 and Red Dead 2.
Yeah, when are we getting GTA 6, bro? Rockstar. You said that it was coming out this year, but no, it's been pushed back.
Agent was supposed to be Rockstar's big PlayStation 3 exclusive, a Cold War-era spy thriller set in the world of international espionage. It was announced at E3 in 2009, but quietly canceled years later in a blog post from former Rockstar North technical director. Agent was envisioned to be a more linear game rather than the open worlds of GTA. It was going to feature diverse locations such as a French Mediterranean city, a ski resort, Cairo, and even a potential shootout in space. The game was canceled over concerns that it was becoming a distraction from GTA 4's DLC and GTA 5. The project was handed to a different Rockstar studio, but nothing was ever completed. Over the years, there's been a real secrecy around the game. However, after Agent's trademark was abandoned by Rockstar in 2018, it was effectively confirmed that we'd never see the game, and is now one of the most intriguing what could have been moments in gaming. Mega Man Legends 3 was a dream project for fans of the iconic character. It was intended as the final chapter in the beloved Legends sub-series, with fan input driving many development decisions. Capcom even went as far as to release a prototype version for the Nintendo 3DS. But just before it could launch, the game was cancelled in 2011 without much explanation. Fans were crushed, especially since it left the series on a cliffhanger. To this day, it was one of Capcom's most controversial cancellations. Before the Marvel Cinematic Universe really exploded, THQ was working on a first-person brawler-based Avengers game. Players would control heroes like Iron Man, Hulk, Thor, and Captain America in a story based around the Secret Invasion arc. But ultimately, THQ's financial troubles in 2011 led to the project's cancellation, this being a combination of Marvel's high licensing fee requiring them to sell a rumored 6 million copies to even break even. The Australian dollar's price was also increasing, which was resulting in higher operation costs. These are all pretty boring reasons for a potentially awesome game to be cancelled. While we eventually got another Avengers game years later, that one didn't quite live up to expectations either. The Wonder Woman game was announced in 2021 and only just canceled this year after a restructuring from Warner Bros. The concept of the game was for a single-player open-world action-adventure aimed to incorporate Monolith's innovative Nemesis system, which allowed players to convert enemies into allies. Despite these ambitious plans, the game's development faced numerous challenges, including a costly reboot in 2024 that shifted its design towards a more linear experience. This led to the departure of many key directors. Knowing that the Nemesis system has been locked away from other games, making the loss of this intriguing game all that worse, and the cancellation of Wonder Woman conceded with the closure of Monolith, a studio that brought us games like Shadow of Mordor and Fear. This was all part of the Warner Bros. Bigger plan to focus solely on core franchises like Harry Potter, Batman, and Game of Thrones. It makes you think that if the Suicide Squad game had been good, there was still a chance Wonder Woman could have been released. Spider-Man The Great Web was a multiverse-based online game that would have let players control different versions of Spider-Man in a shared universe. Leaked footage and concept art showed multiple playable Spideys, missions across different timelines, and PvE co-op gameplay, but the project was cancelled before it could be fully revealed. With Spider-Verse hype at an all-time high, this one would have been massive. Platinum Games' Scalebound was set to combine action RPG combat with a massive dragon companion. Players would control Drew, a modern-day hero, and issue command to his dragon in real time. The game would have had the option for up to a 4-player co-op with a combination of Platinum Games' signature action mechanics, with great graphics and more RPG elements, quite different from their previous games. But after years of troubled development and behind-the-scenes issues with the game engine, Microsoft pulled the plug in 2017. This came after Platinum acknowledged that the studio's inexperience contributed to the failure, and Xbox took a big hit after it hoped it was going to be a big exclusive for them. To have even gotten a full gameplay trailer makes it sting all that more for people that were looking forward to this game. Sleeping Dogs 2 is still one that stings. The sequel never actually entered full production, but what the sequel might have done actually did make it onto the internet. It was going to follow Wei Shin once again, and feature a new playable character in your corrupt new partner, Henry Fang. Set in China's Pearl River Delta, the story would have been more grand and ambitious than the original, with a branching narrative, procedurally generated missions, and a massive single-player experience where players' actions would influence each other's game worlds throughout cloud-based data sharing. Despite these grand ideas, it never did enter production after Square Enix faced financial challenges after reporting big losses, even after releasing critically acclaimed titles like Hitman Absolution, the Tomb Raider reboot, and Sleeping Dogs itself. Rather than risk it on Sleeping Dogs, decided to focus more on established franchises and cancel the series. Following this, the developer of Sleeping Dogs, United Front Games, tried to continue the franchise with Triad Wars, a free-to-play multiplayer spin-off set in the same universe.
I guess
However,
Chinese
the game failed to gain traction and was shut down during its beta phase in 2016. Later that year, United Front Games closed its doors. Perhaps, though, with the recent surge in interest from the rumored movie, this is the one game that just might release one day. So tell me, which of these games would you have liked to see come out? I hope you enjoyed this video, and I will see you very, very soon.
I've seen a lot of people play Bully, but I never thought I would like to play it, but it would have been interesting to see a different perspective on the game Bully. Alright, I'm gonna go and make probably some supper and stuff like that. Since we did ASMR earlier, I know I didn't do it a whole lot, but no talking. I shouldn't be gone for too long, but have fun. Let me put a BRB screen. I'm gonna make this a different color. Alright, I think that'll work. Alright, I'll see you guys later. hope you enjoyed that little session. Sorry, I was making, like, spaghetti, and I needed some time, so... to, like... digest, not digest, to, like... keep you guys entertained. Alright, what is going on in the world? God, I can't... Hold on. I don't want this in my timeline. Okay. I'm not signed in, so I guess we'll see. How about, not bizarre, canceled shows. Or canceled anime? Is there a canceled anime? Canceled anime series. Okay.
Step
So if we
into
watch...
Wake Studio.
Oh, hold on.
Platform for agencies and enterprises. Kickoff.
Hey guys, it's Awesome here, and I'm not done
Hey.
with this series yet. Welcome to Cancelled Anime and Movies, the finale. Maybe. Probably. It has been a full year since the last part came out, and I've been notified of like 100 more canceled movies. I've been sent so much scrapped concept art to the point I'm starting to feel subconsciously guilty, and I'm not Warner Brothers or Disney. I did not have any involvement in these films being scrapped. This is a never-ending rabbit hole that I have to continue, but not for much longer. This might have to be the last part, as I don't think I can take any more of the sadness knowing I'm living in the timeline of the Minecraft movie, and not the timeline of the Gorillaz feature-length film called Celebrity Harvest that was gonna focus on the sickness of celebrity culture. You know how many millennial teenagers missed out on making this film their whole personality? Hot Topic would have never recovered. Anyways, I went looking and picked out even more canceled anime and movies that stood out to me, and I'm gonna discuss what happened with their downfalls.
What the? Okay.
Starting off strong, we
Alrighty.
got, of course, the Gorillaz canceled movie, Celebrity Harvest. I was actually gonna put this further down in the video and just have the intro be a foreshadow, but I really want to talk about this movie first. I'm not, like, too sad about this one, as Gorillaz have always given us enough when it comes to animation. If you want to see Gorillaz animated, just consume Gorillaz, that's the whole thing. They have holograms, they make TikToks now.
I like writing poems because it helps get my feelings out. So give me 3 random words in the comments below and I'll do a poem for ya.
Netflix announced that they're going to be working with Gorillaz to make a feature-length film. This isn't a Disney Gigantic or Me and My Shadow situation where you're out of luck on such a specific story and set of characters. Gorillaz will probably succeed in the TV or film department one day. Oh, never mind. Scratch everything I just said. Celebrity Harvest was put into production right after Gorillaz' first album, Gorillaz, and this movie was gonna feature its own soundtrack that would serve as their second album. Repeating myself, the film's story is said to have taken place in this apocalyptic, endless night-themed world that would explore the toxicity of celebrity culture and the ego that grows with becoming famous and being recognized, a concept that has aged even better over the years. The only real story details other than that are the plot points I found on the Gorillaz wiki.
Wait,
the
why
story
is
would follow
this?
the band's drummer
Is it?
Russell,
I thought I
who goes
changed
insane
it.
and leaves the band, which then creates a ripple effect for the rest of the band members, starting the end of the Gorillaz
Oops.
pack. Murdoch would then also leave
Wait,
the
no,
band to
I
start
didn't
his own
change it.
metal band, where he ends up locking the bandmates
What?
in the basement of Kong Studios. And due to the metal band members being trapped down there so long, they end up becoming cannibals and attack Murdoch, who then becomes a zombie. Del the Ghost was going to be the main antagonist of the film, becoming evil after being exorcised from Russell by the Grim Reaper. According to concept art, the Grim Reaper was going to play a massive part in this story. If you're not a huge Gorillaz fan, you probably have no idea what's going on and are very confused, because I do think the charm of the band is that there's a lot to keep track of and dig deeper into, but I don't know if
Don't stop getting it. I don't know. That's the only song I know from them.
that would work with a studio like DreamWorks who was producing it. And allegedly, the script ended up being 360 pages long, which would be close to a 6-hour movie. The reason for cancellation
Holy
is probably
shit.
the easiest answer I've been able to find for a canceled film, and it comes from the band's artist and co-creator Jamie Hewlett himself, who straight up said that DreamWorks wasn't willing to spend millions of dollars on a darker film. DreamWorks wanted to make it into a lighter, family box office sensation, and Gorillaz pulled out immediately, which I'm kind of thankful for. I'd much rather a canceled project than a finished project that doesn't represent the Gorillaz brand.
There was talk of a Gorillaz animated movie, and we were speaking for a long time with a very large animation studio in Hollywood, and in the end, it came down to the fact that they wanted to do a family movie that would have a big box office opening weekend, and that's not really what we do.
Since 2005, when this movie was scrapped, Gorillaz has had almost the same luck as Bone in terms of adaptations trying to be made. I don't know how studios keep fumbling the gold mine that is Gorillaz. Next, we got the scrapped sci-fi 2D animated film developed by Disney veterans in the early 2010s, titled Galaxy Gas. Not to be confused with anything else named Galaxy Gas. Yes, 2010s, 2D, and Disney in the same sentence. Oh my god. This film has such a large amount of finished footage and concept art in a 7-minute presentation online, and it instantly stood out to me. Galaxy Gas is described as being this heartwarming sci-fi story featuring drunk aliens and spaceships. You had me at drunk aliens.
You guys partake?
And it all came together starting in 2012 by Craig Peck, a grad school student and Disney intern who had an obsession with hand-drawn features and really wanted to reach out to some of his inspirations in that field to try and bring it back, as he was disappointed with the way Disney abandoned 2D after the 2011 Winnie the Pooh film. He first reached out to Tab Murphy, known for writing on screenplays for Tarzan, Brother Bear, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, to see if he had any ideas to pitch. Tab Murphy ended up pitching the idea of a teenager named Devo who ends up discovering that his father, who runs a gas station in New Mexico, is actually using the gas station to refuel spaceships for aliens. Devo ends up discovering this after reluctantly taking on a job there to finally afford to move out of the trailer park him and his parents have been living in. First of all, I love a good father and son film, and I also think in terms of anime and movies, aliens haven't been done enough justice yet, so this would have cleansed my mind of Escape from Planet Earth. I'm getting kind of a Ben 10 mixed with Cloudy with a Chance of Meatballs vibe from this pitch footage. There was also gonna be your average hard-to-get love interest named Nicole, who would go on a mission with Devo and this sidekick smoking alien named Ace to stop a hostile alien race that's trying to invade Earth. There was a ton of concept art made of mechanic aliens that would serve as comic relief and also help Devo get the girl by the end of the movie.
Oh my god, you're alive. I thought for a second that maybe you were dead.
After they came up with all of that, they both pitched it to Kirk Wise, who co-directed Beauty and the Beast, Atlantis, The Hunchback of Notre Dame, and he was on board immediately as he also missed 2D animation and had not directed a feature since Atlantis. Now at first I thought it was an actual Disney project, but it was really an independent film. They set up a weekly sweatbox up the street from Disney where they worked with new animators and OG animators and really tried to capture a homemade vibe and setup. To convince buyers slash financiers, they tried to mix the 2D animation with CGI as best they could to not only bring more depth to the characters and spaceships, but also just be more pleasing to the studios, praising CGI, while still not totally forfeiting 2D. Sadly, the movie ended up going under when the unnamed company that was going to distribute the film did not actually have the funds to produce it, and they also had been planning on shutting down, and so the film went on pause and never unpaused. From comments I found on social media, there's quite a few people who are on the side in believing that this film shouldn't have been produced, as the character designs and world feel generic and lazy, which I agree a tiny bit. It's not on par with some of the other films on this list, but I like the simple charm of it, and oh my god, is this concept art so colorful and eye-pleasing. And with the success of Claws, I could see Netflix taking it on. I could also see how this concept would work a lot better as a cartoon series rather than a feature, and it would probably be more marketable as one. Nowadays, they would have to go through hell and back trying to get people to watch this if it's a theatrical release. The Shadow King is next on our list. I'm so excited for this one. A canceled Disney stop-motion movie directed by the one and only Henry Selick. I'm so surprised I skipped over this one, and not just one, but two parts, but I guess it could not fit better in the finale. What do you mean there's a Henry Selick stop-motion movie that already has completed scenes, character models, and is completely lost to time? After seeing the success of Coraline, and of course them working with him on The Nightmare Before Christmas, which he also directed, despite Disney using Timber in success for promo, Disney was eager for another stop-motion movie from Henry, and that's when he presented The Shadow King, originally called The Shademaker, which would follow a 9-year-old orphan in New York named Hap Dagger, who has these weird, bloated, oddly long hands that he hides from the world, until he finds power within his hands when a shadow girl teaches and mentors him to make shadow puppets that come to life. And that's when later he has to use these powers to fight a shadow war against a shadow monster that is threatening the city, and Hap's brother Richard. Kind of gives me a Scribblenauts vibe, except instead of doodles that come to life, it's shadows. Henry Selick described the plot as a darker Dumbo, following the same sentiment of a character going through ridicule and bullying for having different features, but ends up proving everyone wrong when the differences become superpowers that save. Small clips have been posted to YouTube over the years with a feel of the atmosphere, the personality of the two brothers, and them being very dependent on each other for entertainment. It just feels so likable. Just this short scene alone of Hap giggling over his brother sleep talking has impalpable charm.
Children of the night, what music they make.
Okay.
I'm Julian McClurkin, and I'm a student at Franklin University.
Okay, who cares?
The movie was put into pre-production in 2011 with a 2013 release scheduled. Disney, and mostly John Lasseter, who was chief creative officer at the time at Disney before you know what, started having problems and a change of mind when all of a sudden they decided the film was too strange, and they didn't know how to handle putting out the film under their brand. Even despite knowing that they wanted Henry Selick on board with their studio again in the first place for that surreal, darker style, why would you hire Henry Selick after seeing Coraline and then not expect something similar to Coraline? John Lasseter did the good old bait and switch and decided he wanted to change the story to be more Disney-fied. And then I guess Disney pulled out anyway as the production costs were getting too high because of the changes made. Henry Selick went on to make Wendell and Wild, and John Lasseter went on to make Luck.
Being in business with Huggy Bear, which is John, that's what we all call John Lasseter.
Why'd you call him Huggy Bear?
Well, he's known for hugging a little too long.
Oh.
Well.
Since then, Henry has kept the puppet shelved, putting it on the back burner instead of totally forgetting about it. I think that really shows how much hope he had and still has for this being in his catalog. He tried to shop it around and present it to Laika, but they couldn't figure out finances either, and up until recently, it was silent regarding the project until after Wendell and Wild came out on Netflix, where he brought back up the topic, stating he had gotten the rights from Disney back and hopes to go from there. I think what we've learned from this film is that you can't put anything related to shadows in an animated movie if you want it to survive.
But guess what? I got the rights back from Disney.
Nice.
And maybe if the new film is considered a success, maybe I'll revive The Shadow King.
Moving on, we got Wes Ball's canceled Mouse Guard film, an adaptation of the Mouse Guard comic series by David Peterson. Now, this is more mocap CGI rather than 3D or 2D animation, but I just really need to talk about this movie. Wes Ball you might know from the Maze Runner films that critics hated, but I stood by rooting for. Anyone who says these films aren't peak entertainment is my enemy. He also recently got to redeem himself with Kingdom of the Planet of the Apes, as well as being set as the director for the Legend of Zelda film. After Mouse Guard's cancellation, Wes Ball released some mock-up footage made with Unreal Engine to showcase the look the film was gonna go for, and I can't help but feel Wes Ball's obsession with mocap kind of prohibits what could be a spectacular animated film. I know I'm biased, but the overly realistic anthropomorphic look that the film seemed to be going for misses the mark for me. Specifically with how the mice look, it does not match the juxtaposition of the cute mice wearing armor in the books. I picture more of a Don Bluth style working better, but who knows. On the other hand, for being mock-up footage, this is still incredible. And do not get me started on the concept art that blows my mind and also completely devastates me. We've been desperately needing a new fantasy epic franchise so bad, and Mouse Guard was right there. I'm getting ahead of myself. Mouse Guard was going to be produced by Fox with close to a $170 million budget. Similar to the comics, the movie would take place in a medieval setting and would follow a brotherhood of mice whose sole duty is protecting their home village from predators and serving as bodyguards as the mice civilians make passage in open wilderness. The movie was going to star Idris Elba, Andy Serkis, Thomas Brody Sangster, with Matt Reeves as one of the producers. The film ended up being thrown in the trash 2 weeks before production was set to start when Fox merged with Disney, and Disney decided the film, one, had too high of a budget, actually kind of reasonable if you ignore that this is Disney saying this, and two, had been too similar to their recent live-action remakes at the time that also featured CGI animals, which is not as reasonable, just actually laughable. If Disney actually cared about how similar their films were, they wouldn't make live-action remakes in the first place. Wes Ball has since made several posts about how devastated he is this film didn't come to fruition. It always makes me more sad when a creator of something canceled really cares about it. I feel like sometimes the creator behind a scrapped project will admit it just didn't work out for the better, but it seems Wes Ball still lays awake at night thinking about this movie. His Twitter bio reads, "Dreaming of Mouse Guard." Thankfully, Disney did give everybody involved in this film permission to shop it around, so there's not all hope lost. Fifth on the list, we got an adult 2D animated film, Big Bugman, starring Brendan Fraser, basically the Chris Pratt of the late 90s, early 2000s. This one is really interesting out of the mix as it's aimed specifically towards an adult audience, something which is not seen as much with animated movies, except for recently with Genndy Tartakovsky's Fixed, which, now that I'm thinking about it, that one might have also been canceled. Big Bugman started production in the early 2000s at Studio Free Studios with Bob Bendenson, a writer on The Simpsons, and Peter Shin, a supervising director on Family Guy, at the helm. The plot was going to follow a candy factory worker named Howard Kind, and after being bitten by bugs, he turns into, of course, Bugman, and eventually the other characters would come in as Bugman struggles with the spotlight and the corruption of fame, which I guess is a common plot point for canceled movies. I don't know the correlation of him working at a candy factory and him turning into Bugman, and I guess I'll never know. No hate, but the plot gives off the sense that they were just throwing things together. I can't blame them though, because you're kind of forced into an unaimed story when you have a character as simple and open-ended as Bugman. However, judging on the concept art, that was almost the point. It was supposed to have an all-over-the-place, grotesque feel to it. To me, it feels kind of reminiscent of the sketchy, simple style of like 16 or The Weekenders. Big Bugman's very important, specifically because it was Marlon Brando's last role, famous for The Godfather, Apocalypse Now. You know this guy. Big Bugman would have soloed The Godfather, let's be honest. Despite his declining health and being on oxygen during the production, he was persistent on playing the voice of Miss Sour. He not only had the dream of performing in a woman's role and cosplayed as Miss Sour while recording his voice lines, but also said that this was the best time he's ever had working on a movie.
Down the hall, walk into the den, and there, perched and poised, was Mrs. Sour, the character, from head to toe. Blonde wig, black gloves, jewelry, makeup.
YouTube Premium is ad-free
Shut up.
YouTube
And
YouTube
nope.
Music Premium. Oh.
I don't
The
care.
whole 9 yards.
This being his last
I'm in
role seemed to be almost the
incognito
basis of
mode.
promo and teasing for the film, as seen in this news article, which just makes the fact it never got out of the storyboard phase super sad and confusing. The movie was set to release in 2006, the year I was born, and then it kept getting delayed until eventually it was never brought back up again. The only reasons I could find for it being scrapped were number one, Marlon Brando passing away, obviously. He completed his lines, but maybe that stunted progress to finish it, definitely with his excitement probably fueling motivation. And the second reason comes from the voice director, who stated that its risque tone, which felt like South Park, without being clever, was the cause of delay and maybe the studio changing their mind. Hopefully one day we get a script, if anything, or some voice recordings in honor of Marlon Brando. If I had a nickel for every time a movie involving cats was scrapped, I would have 2 nickels, but 6th and 7th on the list
Actually,
we have
5.
Frady Cat and the animated Cats musical. I'm just gonna pair them into one segment. Frady Cat was an action comedy film pitched and developed at Disney in the mid-2000s. It was going to be a parody satire based on Alfred Hitchcock films, an animated Disney take on the mystery noir genre. The plot would follow Oscar the cat and a cockatoo who are living a luxurious life in their owner's London flat. However, their spoiled lives are flipped upside down when a neighborhood pet is kidnapped, presumably eaten, and Oscar gets blamed for the crime. So Oscar and the cockatoo have to go on a journey to clear his name and find the real perpetrator. I would have ate this film up specifically because I'm a sucker for falsely accused stories and the journey to prove other characters wrong, and I want to see it in more animated films. It was going to be Ron Clements and John Musker's first film with computer animation. These are the guys behind Aladdin, The Little Mermaid, Hercules, Moana, basically every good Disney movie. Originally, however, Frady Cat was Piet Kroon's idea and concept, who came up with it at Disney after he left Warner Brothers after the failure of Osmosis Jones, which he was animation director of, but he couldn't get Frady Cat's plot elements to come together as a whole and lead into each other smoothly, so he left the production. Which I feel like at that point, if the person who came up with it can't get it going, then it's probably not the best sign of a project working out. But Ron and John made it work and gathered a strong story team, and the first screening showcasing the story reels is said to have been a hit. It was allegedly as well received as some of the best Disney films, so it was clear this was something special, and that leads to its cancellation. The reason for Frady Cat's cancellation is another case of a studio deciding that it would probably not perform well or be easy to market. Nothing to do with the actual quality of the film. Although most of the animators were on board, president of Disney Animation at the time, David Stanton, assumed kids would not be interested in an Alfred Hitchcock parody, and therefore there would not be commercial appeal for it.
I don't think kids would even care. They'll be like, ooh, kitty cat.
As an excuse by David Stanton, specifically not seeing it being marketable, as I personally feel like a good movie is able to pay homage to other stories.
Azu, hello, welcome in. We're just watching some canceled movies.
Directors without it really affecting the movie's quality, if you know the reference or not. Also, we're talking about an animated cat, by the way. What do you mean not marketable? That was literally half of animated movies for a while. This resulted in Ron and John leaving Disney for a bit as they felt like their own opinions on the films they were making.
Dude, I could see like plushies of this fat cat going around.
Speaking of a hit, we almost got a 2D animated adaptation of the musical Cats from Steven Spielberg and his animation studio Amblination, the studio behind An American Tail, Fievel Goes West. You cannot think of that movie and not feel sad because of how well its style would fit Cats. Amblination was formed as basically competition with Disney, and Steven Spielberg's main goal was to bring live-action sensibilities to animation. Steven Spielberg and the creator of the musical, Lloyd Webber, were good friends, which only made more sense for them to collaborate. The plot was going to be pretty much a copy of the musical, but with added original songs made only for the movie. And the setting change, Steven Spielberg decided it would take place in London during World War II, and visually the film would go for a destroyed, depressing environment. If you've never heard of the Cats musical, it follows the story of a tribe of cats called the Jellicles, and the night they make the Jellicle choice by deciding which cat will ascend to the Heaviside layer and come back to a new life. I actually have no idea what this means. I've never seen Cats. I just really like the idea of more animated musicals. There's so much to play with when it comes to them, and yeah, sure, a movie like Frozen has musical scenes. It really isn't its defining factor. I want a legit musical turned into animation, like bring a recording device to a Cats performance and then get a studio to animate that. The film was in partnership with animation veterans behind Who Framed Roger Rabbit, and similar to that film, they wanted Cats to be a hybrid movie, mixing real scale models for sets with 2D characters. The production of this film was filled with so much hope and ambition. The heads of the departments had a kickoff by literally going to watch Cats the musical together. But all of that excitement went out the window when the film's producers realized how difficult an adaptation of basically individual stories based on poems would be, and they couldn't work on a script confidently if that was the structure. And instead of working around that and just coming up with their own structured story, they stopped 6 months in. Eventually, the studio relocated to LA with a new team that still wanted to take a stab at it. However, they ended up coming under the same issues. They wanted it to follow the episodic vibe and still keep it feeling like a feature film, and nobody could agree on how to go about it. Even Spielberg and Lloyd Webber were starting to butt heads on it, and although it was still being slowly developed after this, it died when Amblination decided to shut down after the flop of Balto. Now you've heard of canceled cat movies, but have you heard of the canceled elephant CGI animated film, The Legend of Tembo, slated for a 2014 release? Directed and produced by Aaron Blaise and Chuck Williams, Aaron Blaise's name instantly stands out. Legendary animator behind Brother Bear, supervising animator on The Lion King. He's a YouTuber now. The Legend of Tembo was going to follow a baby African elephant who is captured and sent to India. There he becomes a fierce battle elephant and will have to become something that he is not to return to his home. A fish out of water animated movie, you already have me hooked. With Tembo being such an empathetic elephant, the film would build on the ideas of loss of innocence and how hatred is taught by man and not by heart, giving me strong Iron Giant energy. The poster showing little Tembo and then him as a battle elephant is crazy. The film was going to come out under Digital Domain Media Group's Tradition Studios. DDMG's parent company started to put out family animated features, and Tembo was going to be its debut. Digital Domain Media is a visual effects studio that has been responsible for 500 CGI films. There's not much information I have other than that on this project. I just really love this idea. This movie has a very simple reason for being canceled, which is Digital Domain Tradition Studios straight up going bankrupt. No disagreements, no production problems from what I can tell. That was the ending of it. We've been getting concept art and animation tests ever since. Aaron Blaise said on Twitter, "Who knows, maybe one day it will still come to pass. I will give my life for Tembo. Start the Kickstarter now, Aaron Blaise." On to the next one, we got My Peoples, also known as Once in a Blue Moon, also known as Elgin's Peoples, Angel and Her No Good Sister, and A Few Good Ghosts. I've been waiting to do this one forever. I've seen it talked about in basically every canceled movies video on YouTube, and it's my turn to cover it. A parody of Romeo and Juliet, hell yeah, I'm a genius in this field. I watched Romeo and Juliet maybe 100 times when it came out. It's a canceled fantasy film directed by Barry Cook, co-director of Mulan. It was going to have a star-studded cast consisting of Dolly Parton, Travis Tritt, Lily Tomlin, the list goes on. Set in Texas in the 1940s, My Peoples was to tell the story of two feuding families, the Harpers and the McGees, whose two children, Elgin and Rose, fall in love. Elgin Harper creates dolls from various household objects and ships one doll named Angel to flirt with Rose McGee. However, a magic potion from Rose's father, Old Man McGee, backfires and brings the doll to life. Angel abandons her mission and proceeds to leave town, at which the other dolls pursue her so she can unite the families.
Hey, Lincoln!
I'll be honest, I skipped over this movie 2 times because the concept art wasn't really my thing, but this plot has such a fun twist, and so much emotion can be played with the idea of a doll coming to life to unite star-crossed lovers.
Listen, Missy, you got one purpose in life, to bring Elgin and Rose back together. Now go do your job.
It was based on a short story Barry Cook had written, and he pitched the concept of making it into a film to Michael Eisner and Thomas Schumacher, who both first agreed but then worried about its simplicity and also thought it would fit better as a live-action feature. So Barry went back to the drawing board and made it a tad bit more convoluted, adding 7 characters. And Michael Eisner is quoted to have said after a test screening following 3 plot and title changes, "You folks finally have a movie here." However, that was not true, as he went on to announce the cancellation of the project in a company email. Cook believed it was scrapped to make room for Chicken Little, which seemed more marketable. The project's cancellation and the later closing of the Florida studio led to nearly 260 artists losing their jobs. I do want to keep in mind that this is like only one story I got from looking through the film on Google. There's 2 different stories about how it got canceled floating around. The other rumor being that David Stanton, who replaced Thomas Schumacher as head of animation, came in and saw the story reel and was unimpressed, asking for immediate rewrites. And then he flew to Florida Animation to announce the project was over, which is believable. David Stanton seemed to have been at the foot of cancellations. Put him and John Lasseter in a vault. Do not let them decide what movies get made or not. Fun fact, the characters were later used in Meet the Robinsons as part of the failed inventions of Cornelius, a reference to what could have been. Coming in 11th is DreamWorks' canceled Rumblewick, one I'm not sure if I've ever talked about before. It only looks slightly familiar. Based on the book Unwilling Witch by Hywin Aram, it was announced in 2011 with Tim Johnson and Jim Hirschfeld directing it together. Tim Johnson directed Ants, Over the Hedge, Home, Every Single Child childhood movie practically. Whereas Jim Herzfeld worked on the screenplays of Meet the Parents and Meet the Fockers, Rumblewick's synopsis being, Rumblewick will follow the adventures of a magician's rabbit for whom the invitation to learn real magic and train as a witch is familiar seems like a dream come true. But the dream becomes a nightmare when he discovers he's really a pawn in a game between rival witches. Having learned the hard way that when something seems too good to be true, it probably is, he must outsmart them. Tim and Jim were both very excited to work on this movie as they knew how much fun they could have with witches in the animation world and how much they could push its comedic sensibilities. I have absolutely no clue the reason it was canceled, just another case of DreamWorks pretending it was never started in the first place. All signs are pointing to financial troubles. Next we got Chicken Little 2 and Dumbo 2 and Mort. I'm sorry half of this video is just Disney movies. I made the mistake of not covering enough of them in the last parts and they're piling up. Chicken Little 2 has been requested for this series so many times, like half the comment section. The first canceled sequel of this video. It was set to be a direct-to-DVD sequel made by Disney Toon Studios, directed by Clay Hall, following Chicken Little caught in a love triangle between his childhood sweetheart, Abby the Mallard, and a foreign exchange French sheep student named Rafaela. Abby tries winning over Chicken Little's heart by using a face cream that makes you beautiful, which ends up turning her famous and her whole personality shifts for the worse. Canceled by John Lasseter after he took over Disney Animation Studios. He keeps haunting me. Another canceled Disney sequel was Dumbo 2. It was set to be directed by Robert C. Ramirez and was scheduled to release around Thanksgiving 2001. I'm guessing this was also a straight-to-DVD sequel, as Disney at the time really didn't make sequels to their traditional films that were put into theaters. The trailer can actually be found on the DVD release of the 60th anniversary edition of Dumbo. The plot taking place one day after the first movie and would follow Dumbo and other animals getting split up and lost in New York. Literally just Home Alone 2. And on their way back to each other, they all individually try to sort out their childhood issues, and we'd also get an explanation of Mr. Jumbo. Here is all the gorgeous concept art for the film. It would have maybe been on the better side of straight-to-DVD sequels. Also canceled by John Lasseter. Are you flipping kidding me? And the final canceled Disney movie is Mort. Mort was meant to be a traditionally animated film adaptation of the Discworld novels. This one is another Ron Clements and John Musker project. The plot would follow Mort, a young man who death whisks away to train as his apprentice, but on his first mission, Mort ends up preventing the assassination of a princess, which puts the fabric of space in jeopardy. Doesn't sound like an animated Disney movie to me. It sounds like a sequel to Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It never got past the conceptual phase. Cancellation reason being that Disney was unwilling to buy the Discworld rights as a package. An author of the book, Terry Pratchett, was said to be very difficult when it came to Hollywood for good reason. Another reason being higher-ups not thinking Death would be good as a major character. John and Ron ended up moving on from the project and went on to work on Moana right after. Ladies and gentlemen, to end off this video, we got the bonus canceled movies with a lot less footage or concept art to show. Starting off with my favorite, and that is the Batman Beyond animated movie. I emphasize bonus for this one because I wouldn't consider this one a canceled movie, as to get your film canceled and scrapped, it first has to be greenlit and actually put into production. Batman Beyond was solely a pitch to Warner Brothers from Patrick Harpin and Yuki Demers. Yuki Demers is who caught my eye specifically because he worked on both Spider-Verse movies, and it seems he pushed this movie visually to expand on that art style. Now don't get
Say hi. Boop. What? Did you just go to... There you go. That's proof that he exists.
Don't get me wrong, I don't think it having the Spider-Verse style is the only highlight of it, but I just really think Batman looks so good with this aesthetic. Batman has always worked as an atmospheric superhero, especially in animation. It's what makes the Batman video game so good because you can feel the wind as he glides. And Batman in the theater looking like this, just oh my god, goosebumps. Now, for lore purposes, Batman Beyond the show is a spin-off of Batman starring a teenage Batman named Terry, who resides in a futuristic Gotham City. It can be compared to the recent TMNT spin-off, The Last Ronin, that follows one of the Turtles who is the only one that is alive in a dystopian future. And this film was going to feature a similar backstory and plot to that. Instead of it being outright canceled, Warner Brothers just said that there would be no possibility of them doing a Batman Beyond movie. I have no idea why that is, but I'm guessing they had issues with the confusingness of a Batman who is not Bruce Wayne Batman. They don't think the Terry McGinnis Batman is as sellable, and considering James Gunn is focusing on revamping Batman for future trilogies, there's probably no eyes on it. By now, you've probably heard of the live-action Harold and the Purple Crayon movie starring Zachary Levi and how bad it is. It's one of those movies that you can't help but wonder if it's intentionally bad, because it's insane to think a studio in their right mind really thought, hey, we should do something with Harold and the Purple Crayon, but instead of it being about Harold the baby with a purple crayon, it's gonna be Harold as a grown adult man. But what makes me more upset is that there was actually going to be an animated Harold and the Purple Crayon film from Sony Animation, and not only was it gonna be faithful to the art of the books, but Harold would remain a baby. Sony Animation Pictures started working on this film in 2010 with these two images from art director Michael Krinsky being the only concept art we've gotten, which makes the actual production of this film kind of mysterious. I don't know if it even got past this concept art. Other details I found is that it was supposedly going to be in partnership with Columbia Pictures and Will Smith's Overbrook Entertainment, which exists, I guess. Writing the screenplay was going to be Josh Klausner, who did Shrek Forever After. This is such an all-around confusing pairing, but it might have worked. Apparently, it didn't though, because it was never seen again, and cancellation reasons are unknown. Outside of some people speculating it was maybe due to the 2014 Sony hack. Speaking of children's books almost becoming animated movies but then being turned into live-action films later on, we have Disney's Thrown Away Where the Wild Things Are, animated adaptation developed in 1983. This one is not as upsetting as Harold and the Purple Crayon, as the live-action Where the Wild Things Are is pretty fondly talked about to this day. It has a very specific fever dream charm to it that just works. But I do, of course, with my bias, think animation would work for the concept way better, especially for a story that's supposed to be so otherworldly. The film was going to be a 2D and 3D hybrid where the backgrounds would be CGI and the characters would be traditional with an airbrush touch to give them this 3D look that would better mix with the environments. The movie was gonna follow the same plot as the book, following a boy named Max who dresses up in a wolf costume, and after being sent to bed without supper as punishment for bad behavior in the house, his bedroom then transforms magically into this island filled with beasts. The film was being directed and created by John Lasseter and Glenn Keane, and after making and showing test footage, employees in Disney as a studio itself thought the hybrid animation was too risky from what they were comfortable with at the time. It was deemed too expensive, and mainly that it would be too difficult to expand a 40-page book into a full feature-length film. We got the Power Rangers canceled animated movie, another one that shocks me because it makes so much more sense than the recent live-action movies. This one's titled Power Rangers Origins. This was set to be the 2015 Transformers 1 before Transformers 1. The existence of this film was made known after a trailer was posted to a Power Rangers fan forum site and was then later uploaded to Vimeo by a director working at the Korean studio ZAG. I was only made aware of this movie when the posters were posted to Twitter, and I didn't realize it wasn't a new film. It was going to be an animated version of the Mighty Morphin Power Rangers series. It was going to tell the backstory of all the Power Rangers becoming Power Rangers, but was stopped in 2012 with no reasons known. Chihuahua. This might be the most recent one on this list and is the last movie today. I feel like I don't even need to tell you who's behind this film. It's screaming Jorge Gutierrez all over it. I could blur it and you would still guess that. The culture, the art style, I love it already. Canceled by Netflix, it would have starred Gabriel Iglesias, Fluffy as the dog, a perfect pairing, and would follow Chacho the Chihuahua entering an international fight tournament after being made aware that his beloved home is in danger, and he would have to compete against animal fighters from all over the world. An animated movie revolving around a fighting tournament actually sounds entertaining and fun as hell. The movie's cancellation was announced by Jorge personally, who just tweeted Hollywood with a sketch saying his movie's dead. He confirmed that it died by creative differences, and he still seems excited to try and get it made somewhere else. In a time where AI slop is being thrown at you from every direction and the movie market turning towards it, we're in a time where we need to stand up and appreciate real human projects more than anything. Studios have gotten so used to having superficial, scientifically made to please you hits that it devastates me to take a look at what could have been if companies let their guards down more often and went back to a time where they were just guessing and letting it play out. Is it financially smart to do that? Maybe not, but I think it's better to spend time on something like The Shadow King and maybe get a timeless classic people cosplay and draw draw fan art for, rather than putting out something like Moana 2 that sure makes lots of money, but not a single person is going to buy anything from that movie, not a single plot line remembered. Sometimes these canceled animated movies come out of the grave and get the chance to shine again and make people happy once and for all. I can't believe it's happening. By the way, this is not the last part. I just said that to make this video more exciting. I had so much fun talking about these. I'll definitely continue the series.
Alright. That was kind of interesting. Oh, since you are here. I don't know if they'll have any of this. "4 months ago, a beginner guide of Arknights, because it's a possibility that I will be playing this game."
Hello there, my name is Kuma, and today
Alright.
I'll give you a quick overview of the basics in Arknights to get you off the ground and then join the gameplay on your own.
Oh wait, I need some food first. I need some food first. Wait a minute, I need some food first. Did I hear a raid? I heard a raid. Zelly, hello, welcome in. Hold on, I gotta get some food in me. I mean, shut up. Thank you, Sally, for the raid. Hello, raiders, and welcome on in. Right now we're just doing some reacts. I was doing some ASMR earlier, but I kind of got bored of it, so I was like, you know what? Let's just do some reacts. So right now we got some Arc Knights because Azu, who is a big fan of Arc Knights, and we also might be playing Arc Knights right after the 250 sub.
You get more operators.
So
there are multiple ways as a beginner. You can easily get some operators for free if you beat some stages in old events. Go to the terminal and here in Intermeds your side story. After you unlock the stages of these events with one event crystal, you can access the record restoration. Here, you can grab one welfare from each event. The latest events at the bottom don't have their restoration yet, so keep that in mind. You can also find a couple welfares here in the archives back in the home screen, then intelligence, special operations, and record restoration. The pictures with circles behind them are operators, and the
I'm sorry, but that's probably not the video for me yet. Alright, you can suggest something. Because right now I'm just reacting to, like, anything. Who is Zoe? Is that a character? Or is that a video? A video, okay. What the Oh, is it a Ren Penrose video? Or I don't want these AI cats. Yes, okay.
Wait. Happy birthday, Ren? Excuse me? Huh? Do you not see the stream title? Manager birthday party.
It's not even my half birthday. When is my half birthday? Hold on. August is the 8th month,
damn,
right?
Dude. Mods, take away that guy's birthday.
Oh shit, he was never born.
Take away that.
Oh fuck.
Take away that. Mods? I don't know. Splash some water in his face.
Oh yeah, no, that'd kind of suck.
Stop calling me a hag. I'm under 30. I'm under the threshold for being a hag.
So you agree that it's okay to call women hags? Interesting.
It's God, me teaching the VTuber, the fucking VTuber community in jokes, dude. Like, it's crazy.
Strange.
How old are you again?
Okay, old crone. Silence.
Crone.
Oh, you said happy birthday, Rin? Hold on. Go back. Oh, yeah, it is you. Well, shit. Anyways.
Hold on. August is... That it's okay to call...
VTuber, the fucking VTuber.
Okay, old crone. Silence.
Crone?
Okay, wench.
Wench? Wait, what does wench actually mean? Okay, you might want to Google what you're calling me.
It's too late. It's too late. You didn't say no, was the problem.
No.
Okay, harlot. Get out of my sight.
What? Okay.
Oh my god, that actually worked. It's a miracle. I'm free.
Well, congratulations. You got noticed by Ren Penrose for a bit. No. What? can't type. Arknights and their family. I didn't know there's family in here. Older twin sister. And these are playable characters? I mean, I get the sister, but I didn't know the grandmother was in this. Any games you're excited for? I don't know. At least not any new games.
Homegrown alligator, see you later. Gotta hit the
What is this music? What the Okay, yeah, I can see them as sisters, of course. Interesting animal kind of like.
gotta hit the road.
I don't know. She had a daughter. Okay, then. Whole faction's based on siblings. Damn. Ooh, it's like snow leopards. Okay, okay. Oh, and then the uncle. Okay. Uncle jump scare. Oh, she kind of looks a little crazy. Is she yandere like? I'm just asking. It's called country music. I don't know. Shotgun. I'm not gonna get DMCA. Ooh, this is interesting. I like the little star aesthetic for them. Hey, yo! Yeah, I'll do Nikke here in a bit. Hey, yo! Relatives, okay. So they're related. So these two. Belishmir, I don't know how you say it, and Neril are related to these two. The horse family? They're horses? Damn. Cousins, okay. They're Pegasus. Hey, yo, they can fly and shit. Okay. I guess, like, kind of like, oh, jump scare there. Interesting, interesting. The only character confirmed to have married.
Away from making their playable characters have a slight romantic relationship, much less one with a spouse. After all, gacha games are pretty much waifu collection games at its core. But recently, Arknights has joined the non-maidenless club, creating their first playable character who already found a soulmate. That's right, I'm talking about Harold, an enthusiastic Victorian viscount and medic with a magnificent British accent.
Attention, good fellows. Your only obliged consideration is how you survive.
Oh, British.
Agreed?
And from his story, we know that he has a wife and a daughter that is believed to be in her 20s, and the event story goes to show how much he loves his family, by often mentioning them in his dialogue. Gacha games usually shy away.
I thought they would be playable characters, but okay. Am I British? No. No. I'm a full-blown American. Oh, hold on. They got wiped out even before the story started. Oof. Wait, there's an Arknights anime?
Look faithful to how they are in the game. Amiya is like 4 feet tall.
Oh, they're probably
Mephisto
trailers.
is still
Never
the
mind.
most punchable punk ass bitch, and Franca still has that hammerhead shark type beat. Characters.
They're trailers, okay.
Characters look faithful to how they are in the game. Amiya is like 4 feet tall. Mephisto is still the most punchable punk ass bitch, and Franca still has
I don't even know this character, but it made me laugh.
that hammerhead shark type beat. Characters look faithful.
Okay. Alright. Too funny. Which one should I build? All races explained. It's only 30 minutes long, Jesus. Maybe another time. The Genshin Church versus Arknight Church. Oh, the music. Okay. Pretty good. Why isn't it different language? What the hell? Yeah, like, what the fuck? What kind of church is that? And sign me up. I want to go to that religion one. Alright, Nikkei. Sign me up for that religion, Jesus. Oh my god, it's all of the characters' attack animations. Oh no! I don't want to get spoiled with stories and stuff like that, but... Three years ago, so it's not even updated yet. Shh. Die. Sniper and everything. Guys. There's not even the most replayed here. Jesus. Okay. SSRs. There's a lot of them. And crossovers. Okay. Okay. Put the rod in. Oh my god, it's a bazooka. Hey, yo! We even have a new church song. Oh boy, I can't wait for that one. Guys, look, respect. Bazooka! This is just reloading, so it's not even the shooting part. But there is a lot of physics. Bazooka. Why is it just me, or like, why is the kids have like not kids, but the small girls that look like tiny children always get a fucking bazooka? Or is that just me? Like, this one has a bazooka? I guess not all of them, but most of them do. Most of them. From what I'm seeing. And we only just seen 2. And I'm like, they must have all of them. Is she wearing Crocs? I just noticed that. Sounds like Nier Automata. Okay, let's see. Hopefully not copyrighted. Hang on tight, YouTube. Oh shit. What have I been missing out on? That's a lot. It's the boss theme. Oh yeah, isn't there like new area based in Italy or something like that? They're new characters. I think you told me that before. I don't know if it's a new area or what. Well, that's not helping us. Grace Bearer. Oh my god, look at that art. Oh shit. That is what America wants to be. Yes, we'll get to Skylanders here in a bit, okay? Let's enjoy the video first. There's guns. Oh, and a skin for her too? That kills bosses, okay. Oh my god. Look at that art, bro. Oh, it's angels with shotguns. I'm an angel with fish got fire to the wire stop. Remember that Nightcore, guys? Yeah, that one. Yeah, I feel old too. Ooh, that looks pretty. Ooh, what's this? Bard by the lake. Ooh, a player forever. I don't know these characters. They look pretty cool though. Skins? That's what I thought. Judgment Day. Yo, look at that. That's sick. That's some sick artwork there. Hold on. Blue and gray guy. This guy? Sana from Hololive? Not that one. This one? That one? Oh, shit. Sana from Hololive, or Sana has 3 characters? Yeah, from Hollow? Oh, shit. Well, good for her that one of her artworks is being used. Good for her. Yeah, we know. Namey. So I think it's alright to say it. I mean, it's been a while since she retired, so... Or graduated, I mean. Oh, that's some really good artwork there. Yeah, it's... Yeah, it was pretty rough for her because she had a lot of body pain and whatever not, so she couldn't stream a whole lot, which is sad, but I'm glad that, you know, she's working on stuff for games. Yeah, she should be proud. I would be proud too if one of my artworks had a why Skylanders died. I grew up watching these commercials so much. So now I want to know why it just died. The trailer? No, we're not watching the trailer. No, I want to wonder. I want to know how it died.
Game that broke into the industry seemingly overnight.
Because I saw so many commercials of this growing up.
Skylanders was proudly held as one of Activision's greatest franchises. But after only 6 years, the series has quietly vanished from the public, along with most of its competition. Were these games just a fad that got too large for its own good, or was there something else at play? What happened to Skylanders? Well, the
I've
story
seen
starts
so
a
many
long
of
time
his
ago
trailers.
in
I already
1989.
know from the back.
Around this time, a company called Toys for Bob was established by Paul
Toys
Reach
for Bob.
and Fred Ford, a couple of young friends who had worked in the gaming industry.
Neither of them are named Bob. What the fuck?
Established by Paul Reach and Fred Ford.
They're not named Bob. Why is it called Toys for Bob when they're not named Bob?
A couple of young friends who had worked in the gaming
Not even
industry
Richard
for years
or
prior.
Robert.
Their first title was
Yeah,
1990's
Robert.
Star Control,
Not
published
Richard.
by Accolade. Initially,
You're
it only
Bob?
released for
Oh,
the
shit.
Amiga and MS
I didn't know.
DOS, but was ported to the Sega Mega Drive and other systems a year later, ultimately turning out to be a success with 120,000 copies sold and the creation of a sequel. Star Control 2 expanded on the original and was a smash hit, winning numerous awards, having glowing reviews, and still appearing on game journalists' list of best games of all time, even today. But despite the success, Toys for Bob wasn't interested in developing a third game, and eventually released the game as open source so fans could port it to modern devices on their own accord. The studio made some other unique
Emulators,
titles
got
over
it.
the years, such as The Horde, Pandemonium, and The Unholy War. In short, Toys for Bob was quickly becoming a well-established
guess I
game
could
development
put
studio, and
subtitles
things were
there.
going relatively well. But the team at Toys for Bob wanted more, and the lucrative business of licensed
I don't know how
games started to
quiet
catch
it is.
their attention. They needed more than just another modest success to keep the studio afloat, so they struck a deal and got to work on Disney's 102 Dalmatians, Puppies to the Rescue. Following this, they worked on 2003's Disney Extreme Skate Adventure
That
and
is kinda funny of her.
2005's Madagascar, the game. Their last two titles were developed in collaboration with Activision, so when the company courted Toys for Bob, they were interested. This led to Activision's buyout of Toys for Bob in 2005 for an undisclosed amount.
Oh
allowing them
god,
to
look at those
comfortably
graphics
continue
from
developing licensed
2005.
titles. While we all know the
Oh
unfortunate
god.
way that things go when a company gets acquired by Activision, this acquisition was actually a
So
great
old.
learning opportunity for the studio, and it expanded their resources greatly. Their time developing licensed titles taught them how to design games for children, but only a few years after the acquisition, the licensed game craze
Oh,
had
I guess I
finally
don't have
dried
that
up.
as a
And suddenly,
emo.
Toys for Bob needed something new to convince the higher-ups at Activision that this acquisition was worth it. A character designer at Toys for Bob, Yi-Wei Wong, made toys as a hobby, such as this hamster-powered walker. During a brainstorming session at Toys for Bob, someone pitched the idea of incorporating toy figures into a video game. Wong went to the laboratory to see what he could do, and he kept returning to concepts of monster-like characters, which the rest of the team adored. Now, he had to figure out the matter of how to interface these toys with a video game. And fortunately for the team, another employee, Robert Leyland, enjoyed tinkering with electronics. So, while searching for ways to utilize Yi-Wei Wong's work, Leyland created what would later become the Power Portal with RFID technology. The team didn't know it yet, but they had just conceptualized their smash hit. While all of this was going on, Activision underwent some major changes in 2008 as it and Vivendi merged into Activision Blizzard. This led them to acquiring IPs like World of Warcraft, Crash Bandicoot, and Spyro. As a result, they let Toys for Bob pick a franchise that they wanted to work on for their next title. So, for 6 months, the studio shifted their focus away from this new toy project to a new Spyro game, attempting an edgier take on the franchise. But unfortunately, it wasn't working well, and the team felt it just wasn't Spyro. As they went back to the drawing board, Activision encouraged the studio to try something more unique and innovative. So, they revisited the idea of toys coming to life in a game and decided to incorporate Spyro into their original toy project as a way to pitch the idea to Activision. With that, Skylanders was greenlit and Activision was ready to turn this dream into a reality. Fortunately for Toys for Bob, Guitar Hero's success helped establish the supply lines needed to create the millions of toys necessary for something like Skylanders. The same Guitar Hero that I talked about in a previous video, which will be linked in the description. Anyways, things just aligned perfectly for this project to come to fruition. Around the same time as the Guitar Hero supply chains were allowing these toys to be produced at scale, the cost of RFID technology was drastically decreasing. Plus, Activision's connections enabled them to secure Hans Zimmer to write the main theme for the game, and Toy Story's writers, Alec Sokolow and Joel Cohen, to write the story. But even with all of these perfect circumstances, the project was incredibly ambitious, and corners would inevitably have to be cut to meet the deadlines. At least, that's what the team suspected. As we all know, large game publishers are notorious for cutting costs and forcing developers to do double the work with less money and harder deadlines. They always needed more.
And my
But
headphones are
oddly
dying.
enough, when the
Okay.
team at Toys for Bob presented the game to Activision, something completely unexpected happened. For perhaps the first time in corporate history, the CEO of Activision was the first person to insist that they spend another year of development on the project.
No
Toys for
way.
Bob couldn't have gotten better news. Not
No
only did
way.
this decision result in cheaper products, but it allowed for additional functionalities to be added to the toys. Instead of just reading data, the Portal of Power could now write data, allowing the toys to carry information between devices. Now, your Skylanders would retain their upgrades at a friend's house, whereas before, your figures were functionally identical to a newly store-bought one. It personalized your toy collection in a way that no other game had ever done before. But how is the public going to respond to something so unique and different like Skylanders? I like it when things feel different in gaming, especially when a game goes above and beyond to release updates that truly stand out. I've been a longtime fan of Techland, the developers of Dying Light 2, and the sponsor of this video for years now, and their content updates are always impressive. In fact, Dying Light 2 is a really solid game overall, and it's currently on sale. So if it's a game that you've been thinking about for a while,
Is it though?
now is the time to
I don't know,
get it.
7 months
They
ago.
reclaimed the
So
tech.
no.
It's a super the
Probably
event's
not on
sales
sale.
And into your gen. You can open pretty cool. Thanks again to Techland for sponsoring this video, and let's get back to our story about Skylanders to answer the question of how the public is going to respond to its launch. The answer came on October 13th, 2011, where the game was met with open arms and wallets. Skylanders was presented as an action RPG with platforming elements, with the gimmick being its large cast of playable characters. Each character could only be played if you owned the corresponding toy figure. When you wanted to play as them, you would take the figure and place it on the Portal of Power that comes with the game. This changes your character on the go at any time, with each of them having unique skills and upgrades to unlock. The game featured a variety of puzzles, such as the tilt lock puzzles, although the emphasis was generally placed on combat and exploration. In all, the first game featured 32 different Skylanders. You started with 3 when buying the game. At launch, each figure could be bought for $8 individually or 3 together
$8!
for $12. So it took over $180 to buy all of the characters in addition to the $70 game, without even including extra add-ons or special editions of the figures. There was also one of 8 elements associated with each Skylander, with the mechanic functioning similar to Pokemon types. So, if you didn't have at least one Skylander of each element, certain sections of the game would be a bit more difficult, encouraging players to purchase more than just these starting Skylanders. Because of these factors, every entry of the franchise was met with a great deal of criticism, as it was essentially employing physical DLC that targeted children with pay-to-play elements, and a lot of it at that. You can see this at a glance by comparing the ratio of Skylanders' negative reviews on Metacritic with other franchises, as a third of the user reviews were negative. The quality and innovation didn't matter to many when the series was so aggressively monetized. But for Activision, Skylanders was a cash cow. In only a few months, over 30 million toys were sold, making it the #1 action figure line at the time, and Activision's most successful IP launch at the time. So of course, a year later, on October 17th, 2012, came Skylanders Giants. It was a sequel with a few new gimmicks, such as the new giant Skylanders with exclusive abilities, but overall, it was just more content to feed the demand and generate more revenue for Activision. The game added 16 completely new Skylanders, half of them being the new Giants. And despite the fact that older Skylanders still worked with the sequel, the monetization became more aggressive when new versions of them were introduced in a Series 2 line, which were slightly stronger. A similar light glow line was also introduced that glowed in the dark and had an exclusive attack. In all, there were 24 of these special versions of existing Skylanders. The game reviewed slightly better among both critics and fans, with its various improvements to the gameplay. Like the first game in the franchise, Giants proved to be another monstrous financial success, bringing in $195 million in a few months, with the franchise as a whole totaling to $500 million in sales in little over a year of existence. I can't downplay the scale of the Skylanders franchise. These numbers are mind-blowing. So of course, Activision wanted more. But before the next entry in the franchise could come out, a new Toys to Life game was gearing up for a release, hoping to capitalize on the success that Skylanders saw and overthrow Activision for their #1 spot. The numbers were just too big. So, on August 18th, 2013, Disney Infinity would hit the shelves. And it had
and that's not even an option anymore.
franchises to pull from. Of course, the game itself was met with wildly varying reviews. IGN gave it an 8.7 out of 10, praising the campaigns called playsets, the sandbox mode's expansive possibilities, and how much content was available with only the starter pack. On the other hand, Games Radar gave it a 2.5 out of 5, noting a plethora of bugs and glitches, and found that the playsets all suffered from a bloat of filler content. Still, even the harshest critics agreed that the toys were of good quality, which is one of the most important aspects of a toys-to-life game. And like Skylanders, acquiring every collectible would cost players hundreds of dollars, with even more merchandise to come. The game itself managed to sell 294,000 copies in only 2 weeks.
Wow.
By the time the next Skylanders entry was released, Disney Infinity had sold over 1 million copies, not even counting toy sales. This was a relief to Disney, which spent $100 million making the game. Their gamble seemed to have paid off, and they believed it'd bring in over $1 billion before the next year's sequel released. But now, with 3 expensive toy-to-life games on the market and hundreds of potential toys available for purchase, how much longer could consumers keep up with such an expensive genre? On October 13th, 2013, Skylanders Swap Force released. This marked the first title in the bunny-hopping development cycles.
I'll remember this one being advertised.
It's been 2 years on each game, staggering the releases so that they still came out annually. Prior to Swap Force, Vicarious Visions had only been responsible for the ports of Skylanders games to other consoles, so this was the first time that they were in charge of directing the entire course of a title. And frankly,
you do not want to know?
Out of the park. The special mechanic of this entry revolved around
I bet it's a lot.
with interchangeable top and bottom halves.
It's not $8 anymore, I can tell you that.
To many, this mechanic, in addition to strong level design, would make it the strongest entry of the series, with critics sharing the sentiment. They also mixed things up with the plot by introducing a new villain, instead of relying solely on chaos from past entries. Of course, this entry was another gargantuan financial success, being the 6th most profitable game in the winter of 2013, with Giants being the 4th most profitable. At this point, the Skylanders franchise had generated over $2 billion in just 2 years, and it didn't seem like it was going to decline anytime soon. As great as this all
I guess
was,
it
however,
depends on
a small
what
crack
site
in the
you're
franchise
going
appeared
to.
in Swap Force. The Skystones minigame that was present in Giants was completely absent in this game. While not a significant issue by any means, this marked the first time that every prior mechanic couldn't return in a sequel, and this would become increasingly common as new gimmicks were introduced with each release. It was only a matter of time before the old would be left behind in favor of the new in sequels, potentially alienating fans who spent hundreds of dollars on toys that only worked in the old games. This frustrated fans, but it didn't stop Activision from continuing this rapidly evolving cycle. It was time for yet another Skylanders game. However, before next year's annual Skylanders title could release, Nintendo announced a new product that was in the works at E3 2014.
Amiibos.
This new Toys-to-Life title would coincide with the release of Super Smash Bros. 4, featuring some of the game's cast. And unlike other toy-to-life products, Nintendo generally provided small benefits in games so that players without the Amiibo toys wouldn't miss out on much. This also encouraged people to collect Amiibo for its own sake, instead of doing it solely for the digital content in the games. And this strategy proved to be highly successful. So much so that the product became infamous for its constant shortages, rampant scalping, and poor communication from Nintendo. It was unclear if Nintendo was deliberately understocking products, if certain Amiibo were limited
newest
runs,
ones?
or if other factors were halting production. But that didn't change the fact that they were raking in a lot of cash, putting even more pressure on Skylanders. Could Activision maintain their grip on the industry? Well, on October 2nd, 2014, Toys for Bob and Beanox released Skylanders Trap Team. This game was the newest in the series, and its new mechanic revolved around the Trapper Skylanders. They dealt extra damage against villains and could use traps to capture villains to play as if the player had a trap of the corresponding element. Basically, it was the same concept of the other games, with another new gimmick to get people to buy the new toys. This title did manage to bring back quite a few beloved features from past entries, such as Skystones and tilting lock puzzles, and the Swap Force figures still functioned the same, but it was obvious that the level of innovation was decreasing with each and every release. Critics reviewed Skylanders Trap Team quite positively, with a general consensus that it was another height of the series, but the formula was really beginning to stagnate and in dire need of innovation. Regardless of any fatigue or the new competition from Disney Infinity, Activision claimed that Trap Team was still the 5th best-selling title of 2014 and the best-selling kids game of that entire year. The Skylanders franchise was still absolutely killing it for Activision. September 20th, 2015, Superchargers released, this time developed by Vicarious Visions. And for the first time ever, the newest entry to the Skylanders series was met with relatively low reception. As the name implies, the gimmick for this entry was the introduction of vehicles, which once again were a new collectible item, and once again, yet another toy that players needed to purchase in order to use in the games. This just felt odd because vehicles led to racing sections being added into something that was predominantly a combat action-oriented game. It seemed forced, and because of this, fans rated Superchargers lower than any other mainline title to date.
Wow.
And to make matters worse, the annual releases finally caught up with the developers. Corners had to be cut somewhere, and this time they removed the playable villains that acted as the main selling point from the last title. So now, not only did you have to buy new vehicles for your Skylanders to use the new features, but you also could no longer use the traps that you went out of your way to buy to play the new feature added in the last game. Not to mention, other beloved features like the arena modes and Chaos Doom challenges also failed to return, alienating many fans even further. The series was clearly growing too quickly for its own good, and longtime fans of Skylanders were getting upset. And as for the sales figures, they had also finally begun to plummet. Activision didn't give exact numbers, but stated that Superchargers performed weaker than expected, citing greater competition in the Toys to Life genre. That competition was the newly released LEGO Dimensions, yet another Toys to Life game that left Superchargers and Disney Infinity 3.0 in the dust. Still, Dimensions failed to reach the same heights of the Skylanders' heyday. Was this a sign that the Toys to Life genre was finally drying up? That answer would come sooner rather than later, as on May 10th, 2016, Disney announced that Avalanche Studios, the developer of Disney Infinity, would be shut down entirely and the entire franchise would be laid to rest. While it meant less competition for Skylanders and LEGO Dimensions, it didn't exactly bode well for them either. Then, on October 13th, 2016, Skylanders Imaginators hit the shelves. This entry went back to Toys for Bob and revolved around the ability to create your own original Skylanders. And rather than creating figures to facilitate this, the parts could be earned in-game via randomized crates, with additional crates available for purchase. In other words, the game had loot boxes. IGN found the practice to be quite predatory, as it was possible to accidentally access the storefront when opening crates at the end of missions, pressuring kids to purchase more of them. This gear also didn't work on regular Skylanders, yet again limiting its usefulness and alienating players who spend hundreds of dollars on past toys. Overall, it felt like the pay-to-play elements were stronger than ever before, and the sales of the game were pitiful, only reaching 66,000 units in the first month. This would be the first time in the series that Activision didn't mention a Skylanders game in their winter quarterly report. And because of this financial flop and the declining interest in the Skylanders series, Activision decided not to release a sequel the following year, and Vicarious Visions, the other half of the Skylanders team, was quietly reassigned to work on Destiny. It seemed eerily similar to Activision's handling of the Guitar Hero franchise. Deny that the series was canceled and insist that it's just a hiatus, despite the writing on the wall. A Switch port of Imaginators released in March to coincide with the launch of the console, presumably to recoup losses and gauge series interest. But given that Activision's uneasy silence continued, it likely didn't succeed. When 2018's winter report rolled around, all mentions of Skylanders had been completely scrubbed, when in past years it was touted as one of their all-time greats. The message was clear. Activision was done with Skylanders. The final death blow of the Toys to Life genre came with the announcement of LEGO Dimensions canceling its Year 3 lineup on October 23, 2017. So, at this point, Disney Infinity was canceled, LEGO Dimensions was canceled, and Skylanders faded into the background to never be mentioned again from Activision or anyone else involved. Skylanders suffered the same fate
and for Amiibos, they're just
an oversaturated market. Each year introduced a new
they haven't been marketed in a long time.
Expensive figurines. The later games failed to shake things up, and towards the end, you couldn't even guarantee the figures would work in the next game. Factoring in the competition from Disney Infinity, Amiibo, and LEGO Dimensions at a time that the franchise was already starting to stagnate with fans, it's easy to see how players couldn't keep up. It not only led to the collapse of Skylanders, but the entire Toys to Life genre. The studio behind Skylanders, Toys for Bob, has gone to work on the Spyro Reignited trilogy, Crash Bandicoot 4, and Crash Team Rumble. In 2021,
Oh, wow.
the CEOs and founders of the company, Fred Ford and Paul Reach, decided to leave the studio to go form Pistol Shrimp and finally create a sequel to Star Control 2. It's called Freestars Children of Infinity due to Accolade
I bet
owning
you
the
did.
rights to the name Star Control, and the game
But you
is still
know-
in development. It had a Kickstarter on April 16th, 2024, asking for $100,000 and received over $680,000.
It was still
Meanwhile,
declining in
after Microsoft's
sales,
buyout of
whatever,
Activision
so...
in February of 2024, 86 employees from Toys for Bob were laid off and the office was shut down. This prompted the
Damn.
studio to go indie a month later, where they're currently working on an unannounced title. The only remnant of the entire Toys to Life era in gaming are Amiibos, which are still going strong and are still as understocked as ever. Their strategy to focus on the physical product rather than the digital goods aspect served them well. Did you ever play any of the Skylanders games? What was your
No.
experience with them? Did you play the other titles like Disney Infinity or Lego Dimensions?
No.
Let me know your thoughts.
I
in
was
the
too
comments.
poor.
If you enjoyed this video, make sure to drop a like and subscribe to the channel.
I mean, I get why they had to cancel it. I mean, they tried and tried and tried, but, you know, nothing was... Nothing was clicking. Especially when they had like, everything after Giants. I think everything just started declining from there. I think I'm gonna end it... Yeah, I thought I heard something about a show before, but... maybe for the next reacts, but right now I'm just gonna end it here early because, one, my headphones are dying, and two, I'm starting to get really bored. Left on a cliffhanger? Yeah. Thank you everybody for watching today's stream. Oh, excuse me. Tomorrow we're going to be doing pop-up pizzeria series games. I know there's one about ice cream. There's probably a couple others. So we'll see. Anyways. I'm getting poor.